And now let's close out the show with some NFC South team needs.
God,
the
can
best
we just say
division in football?
Can we just say all and close the show? They need everything.
Let's start out at the top of the division champion, the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
This is a team that is slowly working their way out of cap hell.
Yep.
And when you look at their team needs, left tackle is what jumps out to me. You need their life post Jordan Gross has not been good. They've just signed Michael Oher in free agency, but you don't want Michael Oher as your left tackle.
No, I don't think so.
You can get by with him at right tackle,
Yep.
he's fine, but you want, I would love to see their top pick go towards that franchise left tackle.
Yeah.
If they can find one in the
Cam
first
Newton
round.
would probably agree with you.
Cam Newton, maybe protect that
Yeah.
franchise. Hey Cam, you're really big, you can take these,
Yes,
right?
you know.
And then outside of that, you look at last year's first round pick, Kelvin Benjamin, very, very good rookie season. The only problem is that he can only run on one side of the field. And then your number two wide receiver is either a 33-year-old Jericho Cotchery, Philly Brown, or Ted Ginn. They just signed him. He's back. Ted Ginn is back, baby.
Boy.
So some wide receiver depth might be nice.
Yeah. What stands out to me is the secondary for the Panthers.
Yeah.
In that they don't have much of one, they could use a nickel corner. They could use safety help. And that mostly speaks to...
Roman Harper's going to live forever. What are you talking
Roman
about?
Harper might literally be one of the original Romans. But look, you have to face Mike Evans, you have to face Brandon Cooks, Julio Jones. 6 games a year, you're facing top talent wide receivers.
Yeah.
You need the kind of secondary that can shut those guys down or at least try to limit
And
them.
it's not just top wide receivers. You're looking at in the Falcons and the Buccaneers, you've got 2 wideouts
Yes.
that are both very large and have huge catch radiuses.
Right.
Radii. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Saints. Oh, the Saints. It is not a good time to be a New Orleans Saints fan.
Man.
They just barely got under the cap like an hour before
Right.
the deadline. They desperately need a good draft because they are lacking in especially defensive talent, but on both sides of the ball. It's easy to say that they need a tight end, but I think they're going to try to get some mileage out of Josh Hill.
I think so,
yes.
yeah.
So I would say probably their biggest need outside of that would be linebackers.
Yeah.
They've been bottom 5 in yards per carry allowed each of the last 4 years.
They were the worst team on third down last year. So they just need guys who can get them off the field. Doesn't have to be on the first third down. It just has to be on a third down.
There is not a defensive fact that you could just make up
Right,
anything
right,
terrible
right.
about the Saints defense, and I just believe it.
Yeah, I'd be like, the Saints gave up 8,000 touchdowns. You'd be like, yes, that sounds right.
David Hawthorne and Paris Harrelson are both okay.
Yeah.
But when they're your cornerstones of the linebacking core, you need to draft talent.
Yeah.
And at cornerback, they got good play from Keenan Lewis, but when they traded Jimmy Graham, Lewis then demanded 3 years guaranteed, or he wanted to be let go. So that was kind of the wrong person to alienate.
Yeah.
I
I think the Saints should probably go out and try to get an attorney to settle whatever the hell is going on with the Benson family at this point. First round, second round, whatever. Just go get a top flight attorney, because I get the feeling this is going to get a lot worse and weirder, because never has a legal dispute in New Orleans been settled quickly and painlessly. So.
Whoa, the Saints traded Drew Brees for a 6th rounder? That's problematic. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Hey, Saints fans, good luck to you. We're pulling for you. You're
Yeah.
lovely people. Falcons, the Atlanta Falcons, the 3rd best team in this division last year. Obviously, they have some quality talent on the offense.
Yes.
The defense, however, as we mentioned during the mock draft, they have 0 pass rush. It's been a pressing need. This isn't a new thing.
It feels like forever.
Over the last decade, they've barely averaged 30 sacks.
That's embarrassing.
10 years, Ryan.
Because, think about how many terrible Carolina quarterbacks had been over that time period. How many terrible Tampa quarterbacks.
You can't get a couple more sacks out of Jimmy Clausen?
Like, come on. It's just embarrassing. The other thing that would be great for the Falcons at this point would be to get a really talented tight end. I mean, losing Tony Gonzalez,
Tony Gonzalez, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
First ballot Hall of Famer, sure thing. The best tight end to ever play the game.
Yep.
We are going to place him with Levine Toilolo.
How did that go? Not great. So I don't think it's one of those things where you say, okay, we're going to go find the next Tony Gonzalez, because that is a fool's errand. But you do need somebody who you can say, okay, he got us 500 yards and 6 touchdowns this year. He provided us with, somebody who can open up the middle of the field.
More. You want someone who gets more than 238 yards receiving?
I know. I'm very selfish.
Jealous. Jealous. All right. How about left guard? The offensive line was decimated by injuries last year. At left guard, it was actually an issue of talent. They cut Justin Blaylock for his poor play, and upgrading through the draft would be good there.
Yep, absolutely.
And then cornerback. Desmond Trufant, very good. They spent a first-round pick on him 2 years ago. Rough rookie season, but really came into his own his sophomore year. The problem is that he can only cover one side of the field.
Again, I don't know why you insist that that's true. No, they need some help in the secondary for the same reasons that if you play in the NFC South, you're going to have to deal with a lot of talented wide receivers, and with the exception of one team, some very talented quarterbacks.
Speaking of that exception,
segue.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, your hometown Buccaneers.
I didn't choose to be born there, first of all. They have. Where do you want to start?
How about with their number 1 draft pick? Likely to be a quarterback.
Likely to be quarterback.
I mean, you can't just let Josh McCown walk.
No, you really can, and you really should. Mike Glennon, do you think he even believes that he should have a chance at this point?
Does he look like he believes?
No, he doesn't. He spends all his time just making sure his head doesn't get off center on his giant neck.
Here's your talker, sir.
It would be shocking unless they traded this pick away, which rumoredly they might trade it to New Orleans for Drew Brees. That sounds like a terrible idea.
Do you want the entire Southeast to burn?
God.
Oh my gosh.
So QB is the obvious need. That said, whoever that QB is going to inherit a disaster of an offensive line.
Yes, because the team signed Anthony Collins away from the Bengals.
Yeah.
1 year later, he's been cut. And while we're talking about cuts, the defensive end Michael Johnson, who they also signed away from Cincinnati, was also cut after 1 year. Hey, don't sign.
Don't do that.
Free agents.
Or just don't sign in Tampa, maybe.
It's the Tampa effect.
Yeah, it could be both.
Let's go back to the offensive line. The notes on the offensive line from Buccaneers reads like an internet comment. This guy sucks. He's terrible.
It actually reads like when the Red Cross sends you an email describing devastation in some other country and asking for money. Like they're like, we have no water, no power.
They did acquire Logan Mankins, but he's not getting any younger.
Nope.
Center Evan Dietrich Smith is on the downslope of his career.
It's just a disaster all around.
They need a bunch of offensive linemen. And then I would throw in maybe a linebacker too. Levante David is amazing.
Yes, he is.
But they did just add Bruce Carter in free agency, but rounding out with some more talent for the linebacking core might be nice as well.
Yeah, nobody thinks that the Bucs are 1 or 2 players away from contending for even a playoff spot, probably. But it would be nice to see them build up some depth at some key positions so that next year we're not coming back to this and saying, there's an entire position group that is a problem. You would rather say, okay, we have like 2 problems on the offensive line, not 4.
Yeah.
Oof, Dream high.
That is our review of NFC South team needs. On behalf of both of us, I apologize for laughing through most of it.
I'm exhausted.
That's the NFC South effect. And that concludes this week's edition of Future Consideration. Once again, our thanks to our pals at Mocking the Draft. You can find them on Twitter at Mocking the Draft, and you can find their mock drafts every Monday morning on SBNation.com. Until then, we'll see you next week.